Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, it is so great to have you. I'm Antoinette, a New Zealander living in Germany. So recently I have been getting so many questions from fellow expats who have recently moved to Germany, or people who are considering moving to Germany or are planning on moving to Germany soon, asking me about the German language. A lot of you have been asking for tips on how I went from speaking absolutely no German to becoming reasonably fluent in German. And the truth is, I made a lot of mistakes on the way, and do you know what? I don't really like to call them mistakes because it's all part of my journey. I don't like to live my life with regrets, but looking back now in hindsight, there's definitely things that I would have done differently in regards to starting out learning the German language, which I will share with you in this video because I know how challenging it can be moving to Germany and tackling this very difficult language. And so I want you guys to be able to learn from things that I did wrong so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. So before I get into it, I would like to thank italki for kindly sponsoring this video today. If you've never heard of italki, they are a fabulous global online language learning community. italki connects teachers and students from all around the world for one-on-one online language lessons. It gives absolutely everybody the opportunity to learn languages in a very personalized and authentic way. If this sounds like something you may be interested in, italki is actually offering trial lessons from €1. So if you want to give it a go before committing to anything, then this is a really good option. I also wanted to let you know that italki is celebrating European Day of Languages, which is coming up very soon on the 26th of September actually. It's to promote the wide range of beautiful languages and cultural diversity throughout Europe, and also to promote lifelong language learning in and out of school. In honor of the European Day of Languages, italki is offering a fabulous discount for their language classes, and this is for all of my subscribers. I'm going to leave a link in my video description for where you can receive your discount code. So guys, with all that being said, I am going to be sharing with you some of the mistakes that I made when I first came to Germany in regards to learning the German language, in hopes that you won't make the same mistakes as me. I've already mentioned that before I came to Germany, I had barely even heard the German language being spoken. So I come from New Zealand, a country where the majority of the population only speak English. So it's very rare for somebody to speak a second or a third language. So basically I knew nothing about the German language. I couldn't have distinguished between Dutch or German at that stage. And when I first came over to Germany, it was very spontaneous. It was just kind of like, not really a spur of the moment decision, but it was, I decided within a month that I was going to travel to Germany with my then boyfriend, German boyfriend, who is my husband right now. I just wasn't prepared. I didn't come to Germany prepared. And so my mindset when I first moved to Germany was that German, like the German language, was in the too hard basket. I just didn't think that I was capable of learning another language, and I don't know why I thought this. I think it may be sort of the mindset of a lot of New Zealanders because we're not exposed to a lot of languages. You know, we do get the opportunity to learn languages at school, but there was only 2 options at my high school. It was French, no, there was 3 options: French, Japanese, and Māori, which is our native language in New Zealand that is no longer spoken on a daily basis. But anyway, I just didn't think I could learn German. And so that was my first mistake. I wasn't really open to actually learning the language because I just didn't think I could do it. It just sounded so hard and it was so foreign to me. I do remember on the way to Germany, on the very, very long 30-hour trip, there's like 2 separate flights. Rob was teaching me a few basic German phrases so I could communicate with his parents. So it was kind of like a crash course in German, and I just remember I could not pronounce the words. I felt like as I talk about time and time again that I needed like an operation on my tongue and my throat to be able to pronounce some of these words. So I'd have to say them like 20 times before Rob would say, oh, that's okay. My brain wasn't in tune to the language. The pronunciation was so hard for me, and I just kind of gave up before I even started, to be honest. That was a big mistake. I should have had an open mind from the beginning, and I wish somebody had told me that this language, it can be learnt, it is doable, but don't be put off by how foreign it is at the beginning. Okay, so moving on to another mistake I feel I made in the beginning. When I first came to Germany, it was just meant to be for a holiday. I just thought learning a few basic phrases was going to be fine because I wasn't planning on living in Germany or anything like that. But things actually changed, and I decided to extend my visa. It's a long story. I've got various videos on this topic. So when I realized that I was going to be living in Germany for longer than intended, I decided I need to learn this language. The few phrases that I have accumulated over the months that I've been living here are not going to cut it anymore. For me to feel somewhat at home in Germany, I realized that I just couldn't rely on speaking English and the tiny bit of German that I knew. I really needed to knuckle down and start learning German. And a mistake that I made was thinking that I could learn German just from learning some of the vocabulary and then basically using English grammar with German words. Oh my goodness, like what was I thinking? I knew nothing about language learning at the time. I honestly did not realize the importance of learning the German grammar from scratch and learning the German alphabet and just starting from the beginning instead of trying to cut corners. And it's just so important to really get down to basics when you're learning like any language. But you know, German grammar is completely different to English grammar. Completely different. German pronunciation is completely different. And at home, like my language learning at home, it just wasn't cutting it. And at the time I moved to Germany, there wasn't the amazing range of online language lessons like italki, for example, that there is now. I actually went to a traditional German language school where I got down to basics. That's the best thing I could have done. Learning German from scratch, getting right down to basics, learning the vocabulary, learning the grammar, learning the pronunciation from scratch. And this is so important for you to be able to build a sentence in German. You need to understand German grammar, and it is a lot more difficult than English grammar. It's a lot more complicated. If I could turn back time, I would have gone to German language school a lot earlier than I did. I waited like a year and kind of got by off pretty, just actually terrible German. I just knew a few phrases here and there. I should have started, you know, a few months after coming to Germany. And, you know, as I said at the time, there wasn't the amazing range of different ways you can learn German properly. Okay guys, so last but not least, this is probably, in my opinion, the most valuable, most important advice that I could personally give you when it comes to starting out speaking a language. And this is a mistake that I made that I feel dramatically hindered my German language development. This advice is to not care what anybody thinks when you are learning your new language. You need to speak and take every opportunity to speak, and do not worry how you sound, because you are more than likely going to have an accent. And in my opinion, accents are beautiful. I love accents, and no matter what foreign language you're learning, you're going to have an accent speaking that language. That is totally normal. At the beginning, your accent will be a lot stronger than later on when you have become more familiar with that language. But who cares. An accent is a sign of bravery, in my opinion. It means that you have the courage to learn and speak a language that isn't your mother tongue, and I think that is an amazing thing. I was absolutely petrified about speaking German, especially in the beginning when I didn't know a lot of German and I was just trying to string a sentence together. I was so worried about what people would think of me. Oh my goodness, guys. People don't care. People have their own lives to think about and worry about and concentrate on. People do not care as much about you as you think that they do. I know that sounds terrible, but what I mean is native speakers of the language that you are learning, they're not going to be judging you. They are probably thinking, oh, that's great, they're making the effort to learn German, and German's a really hard language. So just don't worry, just speak however you sound, however it comes out. You kind of need to like swallow your pride a little bit and just don't worry what people think. I know this can be so hard at the beginning, because learning a language, it's like going back to being a small child where you don't know anything and you have to learn everything from scratch. And one of the reasons, in my opinion, one of the reasons why children learn languages just so quickly, so much quicker than adults, is because they just simply don't care. They just speak, and they're not worried about the other kids judging them and, you know, people thinking that they're stupid. They just speak. That's what you need to do, and that's what I wish that I had done at the beginning. Now I have a totally different mindset. My husband told me that from day one. When he came to New Zealand, his English was very basic, you could say, and he had a really good attitude. He didn't care what people thought of him. He came to New Zealand with the mindset that he was going to focus on getting really good at speaking English, and you know, it worked because he met me, and you know, he met his wife in New Zealand, and he didn't speak the best English when we met. Did I care? No, I didn't. I loved his confidence, and I think that is what people are looking at. Honestly, it took me the longest time to break through that barrier and just get over the fact that people are not going to be laughing at me and judging me, and even if they do, who cares? Like, who cares? Seriously. One thing that has really helped me is finding situations where I have to speak German. I have no choice, where the other person does not speak English. And so in Germany, the majority of the older generation here in Germany, they don't speak English. It's only more the younger generation that have learnt to speak English in school. And so talking to elderly people here in Germany, it's a really good way to practice. So for me, I became friends with the old lady that lives across the road in the old house that we were living in. I used to actually visit her quite regularly. I'd bake her some muffins, or I'd bring her over some flowers, and she absolutely loved it when I would visit her, because you know, she was quite lonely and she was living on her own, and she really enjoyed the company. She was just such a wonderful teacher for me, because she couldn't speak any English, and she had so much time, like all the time in the world, for me to speak German with her. She was so patient, and it was just a really good opportunity for me. And so you find a lot of that older generation in Germany are very willing to speak to you, and they have the time to do that, and so that's a really great opportunity for you. When we actually moved from this village to our new house, she was crying. She didn't want us to leave, and she just said she just enjoyed our chat so much, and was actually really emotional. I can still visit her, of course, but you know, it's not the same as just popping across the road. So what I'm trying to say is, if you are learning the language of the country that you are living in, there are so many opportunities to practice that language if you really sort of look out for these opportunities. So do not care what people think. Don't be scared to make a fool of yourself. You have a sense of humor about it. I think that's the best thing, to have a sense of humor when you make mistakes in a language. Don't get all like, oh, you know, oh, I made a mistake. Oh no, that's so embarrassing. Just laugh about it and just have a relaxed attitude, because I've noticed that people like that who just don't care, they seem to learn languages so much faster, and I wish I wish that I had that mindset right from the beginning when I first started learning German. So anyway guys, that is all I've got for this video. I feel like I could talk all day about the subject. Maybe I have to make a part 2. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful for some of you. Also, do not forget that italki is celebrating the European Languages Day and they are offering an incredible discount. I will leave a link for this discount code in my description below if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I would love you to consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!